I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, June the 7th, brought to you in part by Bovalus Vision. Clostridial vaccines that spur cattle forward, never backwards, powered by the proprietary spur adjuvant that boosts vaccine performance while causing fewer reactions and reducing stress. Also, each bottle that you purchase enters you into a monthly drawing for a custom Greeley hat. For more information, go to power-by-spur.com. Fat cattle break $2 in Yankton, South Dakota at Stockman's Livestock Market on Tuesday. First time we've seen cattle break the $2 mark, and I mean, it has to be enough of them to matter, and it was a full load of prime heifers there weighing 1,400 pounds that did it, and that is just a benchmark that we've never seen. Very impressive, and just a continuation of new records, if not every day, for sure every week. But your CME live cattle futures contract saw life of contract highs on Tuesday, and it's just very impressive, and it continues to go on. Here at the Feeder Flash, promises made, promises kept. A couple of months ago I told you that I thought the fat cattle market would reach $2. I was a little nervous about that about 3 weeks ago when we saw that dip, but in fact did hit that. I told you earlier in the spring that 500-pound steers would break $3, and they did. So just continued, promises made, promises kept. And it's not my job here to prognosticate the market. I just tell you the factors that affect the market and what the markets are doing, but at times I'll get out on a slim branch and tell you what I think going to happen. The last thing I told you was several sessions ago. I told you that I think that these Flint Hill blue stem yearlings coming off grass here late in July for an 800-pound base weight, I think they'll break 250. Now we go back and we think, well, what was the high on those? And it's so easy to go back and look at your futures. It's pretty easy to go back and look at your fat cattle market in 2014, which was the previous all-time record highs. But on feeder cattle and your sales and in the country especially, it's hard to do that. So figured I better check with the godfather of cattle buyers, and that's my buddy Jimmy Craig. Nobody has taken delivery of more Flint Hill yearling cattle than Jimmy Craig ever, and he's working into his 70s pretty good, but there's never been a cooler cattle buyer in the history of the planet, and he happens to be a very dear friend of mine. But I love Jimmy Craig, and I just sent him a message, and just bang, I mean, his mind's like a steel trap. Before I could hardly get my thumb off the send button, he flashes right back with the Clover Cliff cattle there in the Flint Hills in 2014. They were at an 850-pound base weight, so heavier. So this is not quite as high as they would have been if they just weighed 8. But he said they were the most impressive sale that he had in 2014, based at 850 pounds, and they bring 228. So we would likely already be at an all-time record high, and if we do indeed see some of those green grass yearlings, and those are the best performing cattle that we see all year long, coming off the double stock pastures in the Flint Hills and down in the Osage too. But if we see that 250, that will far surpass any all-time record high that we've seen before. But it's simple. If you look at it, there's 700,000 fewer fed cattle for packers to buy this year than there was a year ago. We're going to continue to see that as we go through. Now there's going to be some pressure here and there, and you always see that. We're going to see some back sets in the market, of course, but we're probably likely to see some of that pressure in July when we lose that June contract to kind of hold the market together. Then you know we get into a bastard month like that, because then we'll be going off to the August, which are trading at a pretty good discount, and the packers will finagle a way to get the leverage back. The fed cattle sellers, the few negotiated sellers that we have, will lose some confidence, and we'll probably see the market back set a little bit in July. And then we normally see more available market ready cattle in August, but I don't know that we're going to see that this year. We continuously pull cattle forward and keep pulling them forward. Well, when we do that, there's not as many behind them, of course. And so I think we'll get things back under, or get our legs back under us again when we get into August. But we're just getting to the start of this good market, guys. We've got 2 years left, at least, of good market. Now, will we see highs continue through that? No, we're going to get to the point where the market won't bear any higher prices. But we've got a good market to come here for the next 2 years, and we've just got to continue to root these fat cattle sellers, because that's where it all starts, guys. Everything else is just a derivative of that. We got to continue to root them, keep them informed of how tight these packers are. Look for signs that packers have tipped their hand like they did this week, like they really did last week, and caused the market to be $7 and $9 higher. But you know, you just got to look at supply and demand, and everything comes down to that. Can't pay attention too much to your technicals, and hopefully our basis jumpers won't take the market away like they did here 2 or 3 weeks ago. But we look out in the future, and we think, are there any black swans out there? Something that happens and makes a big effect on the market, but doesn't really fundamentally have anything to do with the market. Of course, we don't know what they are yet. The ones that have reared ahead a little bit is perhaps some type of a full-blown war that stems from this Ukraine and Russia conflict that we're going through, which I was talking to a guy on Tuesday. That could at points make your beef and cattle go even higher if we would happen to get into that. But of course, none of us want to think about a full-blown war, which would you know, technically be World War III if we have something like that. But you listen to some of those analysts, and they don't think we're all that far from that. But we've got to kind of temper that a little bit. And another one that's showing out there is a bigger push on this climate change initiative, which is led by leaders in several countries, especially ours, of these elderly people that have 1 foot in the grave and 1 on a banana peel. But let's talk about your board for Tuesday. June live cattle futures were up 267 at 179.82. Not much basis there at all for Southern Plains guys, so they're going to dig and try to get more money. August live cattle up 222 at 175.50. Your back months were all up from 97 cents to $1.92. August feeder cattle up 65 cents at 243 1/4. September was up 90, 246.52. That looks pretty good. And then your back months were all up from $1.17 to up 157. And the board pretty much continuing to agree with cash, like I spoke about on our last visit. But December new crop corn was up 4 cents. It's just jostling around here, kind of a weather market. 5.41 at the end of regular trading on Tuesday. November new crop beans up 5 cents at 11.84 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 2 cents a bushel at 8.20 1/4. Your fat cattle trade started to take shape on Tuesday. And you guys think, well, it's Tuesday. Well, I thought they were just kind of taking inventory on what was out there. They are desperate for cattle, guys. The regionals in there digging around, and the majors are knocking them out. And we saw all-time record highs on a direct basis in the country on Tuesday, with Iowa selling 5,700 head confirmed at 190 live price, which we saw last week, so that can't be a new record. But on a dress basis, $2.90 to $3 a pound dressed. We've never seen that before. Nebraska, 2,600 head confirmed, live sales from 188 to 190, and dress sales from $2.92 to $3 a pound. Kansas didn't have any confirmed sales. Texas only a couple of hundred, and it happened on the Fed Cattle Exchange. That pulled the covers back a little bit more too. They've been getting along good selling these cattle grid based, but through a timed auction there on the Fed Cattle Exchange. That's through Central Stockyards. They sold cattle in Texas, beef on dairy, at 182. We haven't seen 182 in the Southern Plains before. They said, talked to the guys there, and they said the market was very active with both regional buyers and majors in there bidding around. And we saw one buyer or one seller actually turn down the 182 and one wanted 184 for some beef on dairies. You guys think, well, gosh, wouldn't some just straight beef cattle sell better? Well, actually, on that grid-based sale, these beef on dairy cattle, they are hitting all the bells and whistles when you hang them up, and they sell on the grid. So they've been out selling the bulk of the cattle a buck or two, but that just goes to show you how hungry they are in the southern plains, and I think they should sure be thinking that they should get 182 for the bulk at least. But like I started out at the beginning of this report, Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. Man, has that been a good market setter early in the week here as we've been going through this rally. Had a little bit lighter run, 1,400 head in overnight, 2,000 head altogether. The conventional cattle, just cattle, bulk of those sold from 180 to 187, which was typical with direct sales last week. That was just 50 cents to $3 higher. But the program cattle, they didn't have a lot of completely drug-free cattle, but they had a lot of non-implanted cattle. And actually that was the bulk of the supply, was the cattle that had not been implanted. And so those cattle sell from 190 to 199, which would be 6 to 10 bucks higher than last week. And then that stick-out sale of 42 prime heifers there weigh $13.99, bring 202. Very, very impressive. Box beef cutout value soared on Tuesday. I mean, it was typical to when we saw the gouging during the pandemic. And we're not going to reach all-time record highs in our box beef cutout values because of what the packers did during the slowdown in production during the pandemic there. And they launched those beef cutout values, but we're not under any kind of a crisis right there as far as that goes. But still, your choice cuts were up 721 on Tuesday afternoon at 321.40. Selects were up 271 at 299.44. Slaughter is trying to catch up a little bit, and we're expecting a big harvest this month. Didn't do too good during the first week that ended there because we had the holiday in there, but 246,000 through the first 2 days of this week. Compared that to a year ago, and that's 3,000 behind. But I think they're going to try to spur things up a little bit going forward. Talk about what else is going on. MLS tubs. Don't gamble with your fly control this summer. MLS tubs have all kinds of tubs for all kinds of needs. And we're going to be touching this summer on a Distributor Spotlight for MLS tubs. And your June Distributor Spotlight location is Cowtown Ag Supply in Miles City, Montana. And if you're around that part of the country, go to Cowtown Ag Supply and get your MLS tubs. For more information on them, go to mlstubs.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction, based on an 800-pound auction cash steer up through your middle 12 states there, ranging in weight from 7 to 899 pounds, just like your CME cash feeder cattle index. Ended the day on Tuesday at 221.79. That was up 437 than just Monday's close there. So big gains in your cash auction sales on Tuesday. Talk about your big sales. How about Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri? Big run for them. About 4,000 head through the ring. Another 1,200 head that they had for their in-house video that they do with help from DV Auction. And that's a DV Auction broadcasted sale there. Been getting along good with their in-house video there. Steve Anderson is doing a hell of a job. But feeders sold 10 to 15 bucks higher than a lighter run last week. Calves were 6 to 12 bucks higher, with spots as much as 20 bucks higher. Stick-out sale through the ring in West Plains was 59 steers, weighed 841 at 224.75. Most impressive quote that I saw on their in-house video was B&W cattle sold 330 head of heifers, commodity type heifers there, and they come out of Arkansas for current delivery near Salem, Arkansas, but 330 head of heifers to weigh 750 pounds here just in a few days, bring 217. Very impressive. How about Kimball Livestock Exchange? They were your national beef wire stick-out sale of the day. 4,600 head of feeders went through the sale there, and very, very impressive. You look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, you see 380 head of 7-weight steers, average 763 at 248.45. 1,104 head of 8-weight feeder steers, averaged 850 pounds on the button, with a weighted average price of $239.46, and 708 head of 9-weight steers, averaged 929 at 228.05. On some big weights of heifers there, 588 head of 6-weight heifers, averaged 662, weighted average price $240.60, and 365 head of 7-weight heifers, averaged 757, weighted average price on those $230.89. My goodness. Give you several stick-out sales from all around. How about Beaver County Stockyards? My buddies at Beaver County in Beaver, Oklahoma, they sell 98 head of hard-weaned stalker type steers, weigh 461 at $3.30 a pound. They had a similar consignment to that last week, and this week's sale was $11 higher than last week, and the calves weighed a little bit heavier than they did on the ones they sold last week. So that's how higher the market is on stalker steers for sure. They also sold a load of 903-pound steers at $222 in the Oklahoma Panhandle. How about 4 state stockyards in Exeter, Missouri? Another DV auction broadcaster there sold 60 head, 786-pound steers at $231. They were mixed steers, guys. How about Denny Rezac Livestock Commission, St. Mary's, Kansas? 63 steers, weighed 907 at $228.75. My goodness. But your Mackerson No BS stick-out sale of the day, or no, your Mackerson No BS top quote for the day. They were also our stick-out sale at Kimball Livestock Exchange, but it was 68 steers, weighed 818 at $247. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.